Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, I'm John and I'm back with another segment in my three-part series, my favorite vacation of all time, which of course happened in Iloilo. This is my channel, Musings of a Marine. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those who watched the last video. And I got a whole lot more of a story to tell and more in great detail. So where we last left off, the wedding of Ali and Vel took place, and we had one day to rest, that Sunday, and did pretty much just that, except for my brother-in-law Toto was in town, or Mabini is his real name. And one thing I discovered, unfortunately, that day of rest that we had, my right hip was failing me. Now, we'll get into that some other time. But anyway, we were playing basketball. It was him and I and Pito and Baba. And Baba and I were able to win because Mabini wasn't very good. When we had arrived there, I might have mentioned this already, my nephews Michael and Pito and neighbor kids were building a backboard, which they put on a light post there right outside of our house, and I bought a net for it so they would have that. And so we did have some good basketball games there, that's for sure. And I even taught Pito and Baba how to play the game of horse, which if you can't make a shot that the one before you makes, you add a letter, and once it adds all the way up to horse, you're out. So anyways, but what we're going to talk about today, I wanted to tell you the story about our trip to Boracay. Now, everybody has a honeymoon after they get married, right? So Ali and Vel were going to Boracay. And so was about 40 other people along with them. Have you ever heard of that? That's nuts. But sure enough, we rented a Cirrus bus, and bright and early that Monday morning, it picked us up near the Haro Plaza, and off all of us went on this bus. And it was a fun time, but I was a little bit weary and a little worried about one thing. This bus did not have a bathroom on it. That's one thing. If you had to run out into the weeds, and God knows what was in there, to relieve yourself in a number one situation. But I didn't eat anything on the whole trip up there. I was so worried, what if I have to take a crap? We stopped in Calibo for a bathroom break, and I made sure that I relieved myself, but wow, I made sure I didn't eat anything, and that was the little scary part about it. Also, on the trip up there from Iloilo all the way up to Catalan, where of course we had to take the pump boats over to Boracay, we had some highways on the way there that were down this one lane only because of construction. And at one point we had to stop, and my sister-in-law Hilda teased me and said, you could get kidnapped by the NPA up here. The New People's Army, of course. And in all seriousness, I told her, I half expected that to be a concern on this trip anyway, so no big deal there. But the fun part of the trip was I had Pito and Baba sitting with me in the back of the bus, and we're laughing and joking, and I'm doing my English accent, which they'd never heard anybody do before, so I kept them entertained by that. And we had the movie The Green Mile playing on the TV on the bus. I remember that. Didn't watch much of it. But, I mean, the scenery was fantastic. It's something I had never seen before, at least not since my trip to Baguio back in 1985. And I just wanted to take it all in, and I was enjoying myself the whole time. And fortunately, no unexpected needs to go to the bathroom came up. So we arrive in Cataclon, no big deal. We did stop in Makato, a little small town on the north end of the island of Panay. On the way up there, Val had some relatives, so we stopped there. And cute little town, and took some pictures of the church there and the small little plaza they had. But we made it to Cataclon on time as scheduled, and we rented the Cirrus bus to take us wherever we wanted, and even stops that unexpected, they allowed us to do that, which was nice. We get to Cataclon, we get our tickets, onto the pump boat, and off we go to Boracay. And I'll tell you, this trip turned out to not only be an adventure, but it was one that in some ways was just as happy to survive as I was to enjoy. And when we had played basketball the day before at our house in Lucky Homes, my hip was rather sore. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was failing. But it was all right. We make the trip, no sweat. And when we get to Boracay, there's no docks or anything back then. We're talking March of 2006, people. And we just beach right onto the shore, and walk the gangplank out onto the beach. And now we've got all these people walking on the beach. My mother-in-law is with us, and she's not exactly fit anymore to do that kind of stuff. But I think somebody hired a tricycle, a pedicab or something to get her to where we were going. But here we go, and none of us really knew exactly what to expect. Now, I did know where we were staying. I had actually looked it up on the internet. Val had asked me, hey, John, you want to maybe check out some places over there in Boracay, places we could stay? And so I did. And the place that I liked the most was ultimately the one that Val and Ali chose for all of us to stay at. And I don't remember the name of it, but it was a bunch of cabins lined up next to each other, and then a courtyard. And then there was a couple of nice cabins that had air conditioning in them. And Ali and Val stayed in one of them. I believe the Mills family stayed in one also. And who stayed with Ali and Val in their cabin? My niece Annette did. Now, picture this. You're on your honeymoon. You've got this nice cabin. You're on this tropical resort island. You think it'd be as romantic as heck. Boy, this is a time to really enjoy your spouse, right? In so many ways of speaking. And nope, Annette's sleeping in that cabin too. So, so much for an intimate night, right? But that's how it is over there. Now, the sleeping arrangements for Di and I and some of our group there, we had her cousin Bonifacio and his wife Ida with us, and their daughter Jasmine. And, and there was Di and I and Baba and Pito and my sister-in-law Hilda and Mama. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And as it turned out, we were all assigned to one cabin. Are you kidding me? Now, these cabins advertise that they slept 8 people. No, they didn't. They slept 4. 2 adults and 2 kids, and that's it. And everybody else was expected to just find a place on the floor or the front porch, which also happened. And Di and I apparently paid for this place ourselves, and the first night I didn't even get to sleep in the bed. Pito with some friends of Ali's ended up sleeping in the next cabin over, and the whole sleeping arrangement was completely ridiculous and out of whack. So Baba, who I guess we were going on a camping trip, had actually brought a tent. And so we pitched the tent in the courtyard, and him and I slept in the tent that night. And can you imagine that? Paying for this cabin and having to sleep on the ground in a tent, which didn't exactly agree with my hip either. Because you see, that first night we were there, they also had a basketball hoop in the court. So now here again, we're playing basketball, and this time it was Pito and Boney versus Baba and I. And with my hip hurting, I couldn't even guard Pito, and they beat us pretty good. And my hip was really sore, and all I can say is, thank God for Tandawai. So, Boney and I commenced to sip on that a lot that night as a pain reliever. And let me tell you, this wasn't just that night that this happened. This actually continued for a couple of years, but that's another story. So that was my excuse to die for me to drink Tandawai, was because my hip was hurting. And but we got through the night. I didn't sleep the greatest, but good enough. And the next day, we all went to the beach and got to go swimming and enjoy the white sand beach. And Di and I and Pito and Baba, we did some shopping together. The Mills family actually thought that Baba and Pito were Di and I's sons because they were always with us. And, Pito and Baba and I all got basketball jerseys with a Barakai theme to them and an NBA player's name on the back. It was pretty cool. Of course, I went for the Pistons one. With the Tayshaun Prince jersey. I think I still have it, actually. I don't know. But anyways, that's what we did. Pito being a point guard in basketball, he went for the Steve Nash jersey. So Baba got Vince Carter. Anyways, so we had a nice day on the beach there. And then after lunch, we went to back to the cabin, but some of Ali's friends and Ali and Val, they ventured out that afternoon, which I did not. And Baba was hanging out with them, and he really made a connection with Ali's friend Jimmy, who was a super nice guy, let me tell you. And he was along with the trip. There was Edwin and another friend of Ali's that were there, and some of Belle's friends and her sister Bambi, and just a whole bunch of us. And so after that, for the rest of the trip, Baba pretty much just wanted to hang out with Jimmy and not his Uncle John, which I found kind of disappointing, but whatever. But it was a nice day, and we got rested up, and I chilled out on the porch that afternoon, and I'd actually brought my Bible with me, which I was in the midst of trying to read the whole thing, and I brought it with me, and even all on the trip all the way to Boracay too, and read some of that hanging out on the porch, just trying to stay cool. The nice thing about Boracay, though, is the water was, even though it was blazing hot outside, the water was so cool and refreshing. Now, the bad thing about that water is it was very salty. And not only would it burn your eyes, but it would clean your sinuses out too. So you had to always be wiping your nose to make sure you didn't have some kind of, snot or boogers hanging out of your nose from the water. It would have that effect on you. So we got through the day, and that night we went out on the beach to this nightclub, and some of us went into a karaoke room and sang karaoke. I did, of course. Di stayed back at the cabin, and she didn't really want to go and didn't really want me to go, but I got to have some fun here, So I went and had a good time singing with Lee Mills, like I mentioned, the Mills family's son, and he was a good singer. And so we were there singing with Val and her friends, and Most of the guys, they were in the nightclub. And even Pito and Baba were allowed in the nightclub, even though, they served alcohol there. Didn't matter. They got to hang out there and, watch the music and all of that. They weren't interested in the karaoke. And unfortunately, no one in Di's family is really into karaoke for some reason. But I sure am, and I tried to impress everybody, by singing the Filipino songs that I had learned. And it was just a really, really good time. And thankfully, after that long, tiring day, our second day there, Di and I got the big bed. And I got a good night's sleep that night, let me tell you. I don't know what everybody else did, but I slept well, and I was very appreciative of it. I think some people might have heard that I wasn't too happy about sleeping out in a tent. And I would have been okay to do that the next night, but somebody from the resort said that we weren't allowed to do that, so couldn't sleep with my buddy that night in the tent. Slept with my wife instead. That's fine. And I got a good night's sleep, and we got rested up for the long trip back the next day. So that was how the trip in Boracay for the most part went. There is more to it, which I'll touch on the next video. But hey, thanks for tuning in. This stuff's all personal to me, and for some people, that may not be overly interesting. But I know some of Di's family watches my videos, and some friends, and I know they enjoy this. And so I got to tell this story in more detail. It was the best vacation of my life. And I've got another episode to come because there's a lot more to tell. And all of this happened in just a span of 19 days. So thanks for tuning in. Take care, Semper Fi, and God bless, and we'll see you soon.